Hi, this is Delia from Delia Creates. Today we are going to make this crochet daisy top. You'll need cotton blend size 3 yarn in 2 colors. I used a softy cotton acrylic yarn from Bernat in warm red for the petals and a cotton bamboo yarn from Lion Brand in tan for the flower centers. You'll also need scissors, a small yarn needle, a 3.5mm crochet hook, and fabric glue. We'll begin by making the flower centers. Chain 4 with the flower center color yarn. Slip stitch into the first chain. This will create a ring that we will crochet into. Chain 1, then single crochet into the ring. To single crochet, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through both loops on your hook. That's a single crochet. Continue to work a total of 12 single crochets into the ring, crocheting over the starting tail as you go. Scrunch the stitches over if you need to make more room. After about 9 to 10 single crochet, you can trim off the tail before completing the rest of the single crochets. When you've completed 12 single crochets, ignore the starting chain and slip stitch into the top 2 loops of the first single crochet. To slip stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through the top 2 loops and the loop on your hook. Cut a 4-inch tail, then weave it into the flower center. I start by inserting the needle between the top 2 loops of the nearest stitch and weaving it through the stitches up to another set of top loops. Continue weaving the tail through the top 2 loops of the stitches until you run out of tail or you don't have enough tail to keep it threaded. Then trim off the excess. Repeat the process for as many flowers as the pattern says you'll need. I made 190 for size small. To make the petals, start with the front side of the flower center facing up. This is the back side, and this is the front. Insert your hook under the top 2 loops of any of the stitches. It doesn't matter where we start. Leaving a 5 to 6 inch tail of petal yarn, drape it over the hook and pull through. Then chain 2 to start the side of the first petal. In the next stitch, work a triple crochet, 2 triple crochet, yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. You should have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops again, then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. That's a triple crochet. Work a second triple crochet into the same space as the first one. To complete the petal, chain 2 and then slip stitch into the next single crochet in the flower center. One petal done. To start the next petal, chain 2 right from where the last one ended. Work a triple crochet into the next stitch. Then work a second triple crochet into the same space. Chain 2, then slip stitch into the next stitch. Continue making petals in this manner until you get to the last stitch and the 6th petal. You only need 1 stitch because you'll start with 2 chains in the previous stitch, work 2 triple crochets into the open stitch, chain 2, then slip stitch into the same space you started the first petal. You started with a 5 to 6 inch tail, but you'll want to cut an 8 to 9 inch tail at the end. These will be used to seam the flowers together later. To secure the tails, flip the flower face down, then tie the tails together using a square knot. Repeat the process for all the flowers, except for when the pattern calls for 1/2 or 2/3 flowers. Simply stop your flower at 3 petals or 4 petals respectively. You'll need 10 to 20 partial flowers depending on the size of the top. Now we're going to sew the flowers together into strips. Notice that this is the front of the flower and this is the back. We want to work from the back. Thread the shorter tail onto a yarn needle. Weave the tail through the nearest petal and out the tip of the petal. Notice the placement of the tails in the second flower. We want them facing away from the first flower because we'll use one to connect to the next flower after this. We'll sew the first flower to the non-tail side of the second flower. Insert the needle through the tip of the petal of the second flower and pull them together. Then sew through both petals back and forth 5 to 6 times until they are securely connected. Then weave in the rest of the tail into one of the flowers. Because there are so many tails and not much to weave through, as you trim off the excess, add a dab of fabric glue to the spot to make sure it won't pop out later. I like to point my scissors at the spot I just cut so I don't lose my place. Then work in the glue a bit with the bottle tip or your finger. Add the next flower by weaving the shorter tail to the tip of the second flower, then sew it in place just like the one before it, weaving back and forth until the petals are secure. Weave in the tail, cut off the excess, and secure with a dab of fabric glue. Continue until you have a long strip of flowers. Depending on the size, this can range from 9 to 13 flowers, and you'll be making at least a dozen long strips as well as some shorter ones. Now we're going to sew the strips of flowers together, but we're going to stagger them. Don't worry, this will result in a seamless finish on the sides later. Make sure you're working from the back or wrong sides of the flower strips. Use the longer tails from the first strip to connect to the second strip in a zigzag pattern. The flower on the end may still have its short tail, but we'll save that for the side seam. Using the longer tail, sew into the tip of this top right petal. We'll be connecting this top right petal to this bottom left petal. The process of connecting these petals is the same as it was for creating the strips of flowers. The only difference is that once these petals are secure, you will weave the tail through the top flower to the next petal to secure it to the next flower on the bottom. So the bottom right petal of the first flower in the second strip will connect with the top left petal of the second flower in the first strip. Sew the petals together until secure, then weave in the rest of the tail into one of the flowers. You can cut and glue the tail now, or at the end. I'll show you how I batched this step together at the end. With the first tail woven in, continue to connect the petals in a zigzag pattern, always going through the top flower rather than the connected flowers on the bottom so that you don't run out of yarn. Now that you know how to sew the strips together, repeat the process for all the flower strips. This shows the front piece coming together, the back is the same, but even simpler. For a diagram that shows where all the flowers connect, see the free pattern on my website. Once you have connected 6 flower strips, we are going to start using half flowers to allow for sleeve openings. As you can see, this flower strip is the same as the others, except for the last flower, which is a half flower. At the top it gets trickier because we'll split the strips into 2 smaller strips on each side. Again, refer to the diagram in the free pattern for reference on how to make each strip and where to put it. Here's a look at the back piece on the left and the front piece on the right before they get seamed together. They are not going to be perfectly symmetrical at this point, but the finishing steps will mostly even things out. If you haven't already, trim and glue all the excess tails. I found it easier and faster to do it all at once. Also weave in the tails around the neckline and the sleeves for each piece. Only leave the extra tails at the sides for seaming. Now that the tails of the shoulders are tucked away, we're going to work single crochet and chains across the tops. Tie a slip knot and insert your hook into the top outside corner of one of the shoulders. Yarn over and pull up a loop so that you have 2 loops like you would with a single crochet. Yarn over and pull through both loops. We are going to count this as 1 single crochet. Work 2 more single crochet into the top of this first petal for a total of 3 single crochets. In this gap between petals of the same flower, we are going to work 1 chain. Connect to the next petal with a single crochet stitch. Work 2 more single crochet for a total of 3 single crochet in this petal as well. For this bigger gap between petals of different flowers, work 2 chains, then join to the next petal with a single crochet stitch. Continue this pattern of 3 single crochets at the top of each petal, 1 chain between petals of the same flower, and 2 chains between petals of different flowers. Regardless of size, just follow those rules until you get to the end of the shoulder. Now we're going to turn and work a row of straight single crochet. Chain 1 and simply single crochet in each stitch across. You can single crochet into the chains or around the chains, it doesn't matter as long as the stitch count from the first row stays the same. Tie off your end and leave a 5-inch tail. Each piece will have one shoulder that is more narrow than the other. On that side, leave a 24-inch tail instead for seaming. As you can see, the wider shoulder matches up with the narrower shoulder on each side, but that's intentional. We will stretch them to fit and they will even each other out. Align the front and back pieces together at the shoulders with right side spacing. We're going to use the long tails to single crochet them together. Insert your hook through both layers of the outside corner of one shoulder, arrange the other tails out of the way, and find the very long tail. Using the long tail, work a slip stitch. That first stitch may be a little tight and twisted. Then insert your hook through both layers and seam together with single crochet stitches. The sides will partially match up stitch for stitch, but because one side is wider than the other, you will need to skip some stitches on the wider side to stretch the narrow side to fit. You'll know you've done it right if the last 2 stitches match up and the seam looks even. Pull the rest of the tail through to tie off the end and repeat for the other shoulder. Now's a good time to test the neckline. The finishing stitches will cinch it in a bit, but if there are major fit issues, you can remedy that by replacing partial flowers with whole flowers or by adding or subtracting a shoulder row. Now to seam together the sides, this is where the staggered flowers will line up seamlessly. This one folds under, this one up. They sort of lock together like a puzzle. Simply join the petals together in the same way that you have been doing. It can help to open up the side to see which petals are supposed to connect. You may end up with flowers that don't have a tail or enough of a tail. You can cut a new piece of yarn about 12 inches long to sew them together. Sew through the tip of one petal, leaving a 5-inch starting tail to weave in later, then sew together as normal. When weaving in the ending tail, be sure to weave the starting tail in too. When you turn it right side out, you can see the seamless finish. Do another try on and make sure the sleeve width is good. You can let out some side petals to make it bigger or connect more petals to tighten it up. Now to add finishing stitches to the sleeve openings, neckline, and the hem. This step is really important because it will provide structure and influence the fit and sizing. This is your last chance to loosen or tighten things if needed. See the written pattern for details on making adjustments. For the sleeve opening, slip stitch or single crochet into the armpit of the sleeve opening. Work another single crochet to secure the yarn, then follow similar rules for the shoulder seams. Work 2 chains between large gaps, and single crochet into the petals, except instead of 3 single crochet into the top of each petal, here we'll work just 2 single crochet into the petals. So work 1 more single crochet for a total of 2 single crochets. Like before, work 1 chain between the small gap, then 2 single crochets into the top of this petal, 2 chains between the big gap, and so on until you get to the half flowers. In the half flowers, you'll work 3 single crochet, so in this case work 2 chains between this big gap, 3 single crochet into the half flower, 2 chains into the next big gap. Continue following these rules around the sleeve opening. As you approach the shoulder seam, chain 1 and connect to the start of the shoulder seam. Work a single crochet before the seam, then single crochet through both layers at the seam. Work another single crochet on the other side of the seam, then chain 1 and continue to follow the rules as you single crochet around the rest of the sleeve opening. When you make it back around to where you started, slip stitch into the first stitch to complete the round. To start the next round, chain 1, then simply single crochet into each stitch and chain around the sleeve opening. Join the last stitch to the first stitch with the slip stitch and tie off your end. Then repeat for the other sleeve. Check to make sure the sleeves match up on both sides. Also try it on. You can adjust the fit by adding or removing stitches. See the pattern for more details. Now finish the neckline, also following the same rules. Slip stitch or single crochet into just before the right hand shoulder seam. Then insert your hook through both layers of the shoulder seam and work a single crochet. Then single crochet on the other side of the seam, single crochet and chain across the back neckline following the same rules, 2 single crochet at the top of each petal, 1 chain in between the small gaps, and 2 chains in between the big gaps. At the next shoulder seam, work a single crochet before the seam through both layers of the seam and a single crochet just after, like the other shoulder. The front follows the same rules as the back and the sleeves except for this 2/3 flower section. So you'll chain 2 in this big gap, work 3 single crochet into the 2/3 flower, then work 1 single crochet into the side of each of these 2 petals, then 3 single crochet into the next 2/3 flower. Again, that's 1 single crochet into the side of this petal, 1 into the side of the next petal, and 3 single crochet into this 2/3 flower. Here's another big gap, so work 2 chains and single crochet to the top right petal of this flower to cinch the neckline inward. Work this front section following the usual rules. I've labeled the stitches here. Pause it or refer to the diagram in the free pattern. As we work our way up the neckline, we need to mirror what we did on the way down. So chain 2 here, work 3 single crochets into the 2/3 flower, work 1 single crochet into the side of these next 2 petals that create this side slant of the front piece. Then work 3 single crochets into the next 2/3 flower, finish the rest of the neckline to mirror the other side. Then slip stitch into where you started to complete the round. Complete one more round of single crochet. It's straightforward, just chain 1 and then work 1 single crochet into each stitch. When you make it back around, slip stitch into the top 2 loops of the first single crochet and tie off your end. Then try it on. Make sure you like the fit, see the pattern for adjustment notes if needed. To finish the bottom hem, follow the same rules as the sleeves and neckline. This time there are no exceptions or surprises, slip stitch or single crochet into any spot. I chose the right hand side. We obviously know the drill by now, but here's a refresher. Slip stitch into where you started to complete the round, chain 1 and complete another round of single crochet just as you did with the neckline and sleeves. For round 3, chain 2, we are going to work a round of double crochet. To double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. That's a double crochet. Work 1 double crochet into each stitch in the round, then slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 from the beginning. Repeat this round 3 more times for a total of 4 rounds of double crochets. Tie off your end, then weave in all the ends. Fabric glue is optional this time. And you're done! I've styled this over an undershirt, but you could also layer it on top of a long sleeve button-up for cooler weather. For more tutorials and free patterns, visit deliacreates.com.